Hello, everybody. My name is Suave Player, and welcome to um, Five Nights at Freddy's: The Silver Eyes. I'm going to be reading the book. Here's chapter one. Okay, so let me rotate the camera so as you can see it. So here we go. Charlie dropped chapter 1, he sees me. Charlie dropped to her hands and knees. She was wedged behind a row of arcade games cramped in the crawl space between the consoles and the wall. Tangled electrical cords and useless plugs strewn beneath her. She was cornered. The only way out was past the thing, and she wasn't fast enough to make it. She could see him stalking back and forth, catching flickers of movement as he passed B. Uh, for for the gaps between the games was there was scarcely uh, enough room to move, but she crawled uh, backward. Her foot caught on a cord, and she stopped, uh, cord- contouring herself to carefully dislodged it. She heard the clash of metal on metal, and the farthest console rocked back against the wall. He hit him again. He hit it again, shattering the display, then attacked. The next crashing against them almost rhythmically tearing through the machinery, coming closer. That sounds scary. Uh, I I have to get out. I have to. Uh, the panicked thought was of no help. There was no way out. Her arm ached, and she wanted to sob aloud. Blood was soaking through the tattered. Okay. Bandage, and it seemed as though she could feel it straining out of her. The console, a few feet away, crashed against the wall, and Charlie flinched. He was getting closer. She could hear the grinding and of gears and the clicking of servos ever louder. Eyes closed, she could still see the way. He looked at her, see the matted fur and the exposed metal beneath the synthetic flesh. Oh God. Uh, Suddenly the console in front of her was wrenched away and toppled over. Thrown down like a toy, the the power cords beneath her hands and knees were yanked away, and Charlie slipped and stumbled, almost falling. She caught herself and looked up just in time to see the downward swing of a hook. Oh, that sounds like Foxy. Welcome to Hurricane Utah. Charlie smiled wryly at the sign and kept driving. The world didn't look any different from one side of the sign to the other, but she felt a nervous anticipation as she passed it. She didn't recognize anything. She had not really expected to not this far at the edge of town, where it was all highway and empty space. She wondered what the others looked like, who they were now. 10 years ago, they were best friends, and then it had happened, and everything ended, at least for Charlie. She hadn't seen any of them since she was 7 years old. They had written all the time as kids, especially Marla, who wrote like she talked, fast and incoherent. Mm, uh, but as they grew older, they had grown apart. The letters had grown fewer and further between, and the conversations leading up to this trip had been perfunctory, perfunctory, uh, perfunctory, and full of awkward pauses. Charlie repeated their names as though to reassure herself that she still remembered them. Marla, Jessica, Lamar, Carlton, John, and Michael. Uh, that was re- that was the reason for the trip. After all, Michael. It was 10 years since he died. Uh, 10 years since it happened, and now his parents wanted them all together for the dedication ceremony. All his old friends um, uh, there when they announced the scholarship they were creating in his name. Charlie knew it was a good thing to do, but the gathering still felt slightly macabre. She shivered and turned down the air conditioner, even though she knew it was not that the cold as she drove into the town. Papa.
Estás leyendo, bicho.
Center. Charlie began to recognize things. A few stores and the movie theater, which was now advertising the summer's blockbuster hit. She felt a brief moment of surprise, then smiled at herself. What did you expect? That the whole place would be unchanged? Uh, um, a monument to the moment of your departure, frozen forever in July 1985. Ooh, 1985, yeah. Well, that was exactly what she expected. She looked at her watch. Still a few hours to kill before they all met up. She thought she thought about going up the movie, but she knew what she really wanted to do. Charlie made a left turn and headed out of town. 10 minutes later, she pulled to stop and got out. The house loomed up before her, its dark outline wound in the bright blue sky. Charlie leaned back against the car, slightly dizzy. She took a moment to steady herself, breathing deeply. She had known it wouldn't be here, and Illicet looked through her aunt's bank books a few years before, told her that the mortgage was paid off, and Aunt Jen was still paying property taxes. It had only uh, been 10 years. There was no reason it should have changed at all. Charlie climbed the steps slowly, taking in the peeling paint, taking in the paint. Mm, the third stair still had a loose board, and the rose bushes uh, had taken over one side of the porch, their thorns biting hungrily into the wood. The door was locked, but Charlie still had her key. She had never actually used it, as she slid it into the lock. She remembered her father putting its chain around her neck. Oh my god! In case you ever need it, well, she needed it now. The door opened easily, and Charlie looked around. She didn't remember much about the uh, first couple of years here. She had been only 3 years old, and all the memories faded together in the blur of a child's grief and loss, not understanding him, and not understanding why her mother had to go away, clinging to her father every moment, not trusting the world around her unless he was there, uh, unless she was holding tightly to him, burying herself in his flannel shirts and the smell of grease and hot metal and him. That sounds so scary. Okay, the stairs stretched straight up and in front of her, but she did not move directly to them. Going instead into the living room where all the furniture was still in place. She had never really noticed it as a child. But the house was a little too large for the furniture they had and so things were spread out too widely mm, in order to fill the space. The coffee table was too easy, it was too far from the couch to reach. The easy chair too far mm, um, across the room to carry on a conversation. There was a dark stain in the wood floorboards near the center of the room, and Charlie stepped around it quickly and went to the kitchen where the cupboards held only a few pots and pans and a few dishes. Charlie had never felt a lack of anything as a child, but it seemed now that he unnecessary enormity of the house was a sort of apology. The uh, the at the attempt of a man who had lost too so much to give his daughter what he could. He had a way of overdoing whatever he did. The last time she was here, the house was dark and everything felt wrong. She was being carried up the stairs to her bedroom, although she was 7 years old and it could have gone quicker on her own 2 feet. But Aunt Jen picked her up as they stopped on the front porch, and carried carried her, shielding her face as though she were a baby in the glaring sun. Wow. Uh, this book is really great, guys. It helps me do the words really good. Um, and actually, we're going to finish the whole chapter by parts. So let's keep going. In her room, Aunt Jen set her down and closed the bedroom door behind them and told her to pack her suitcase, and Charlie cried because all her things could never fit into that small case. We can all we can come back for the rest later, Aunt Jen said, her impatience leaking through as Charlie hovered indecisively at her dresser, trying to decide which T-shirts to bring along. They had never come back for the rest. Charlie mounted the stairs, heading to her old bedroom. The door was open, and as she opened it, she had a giddy feeling of displacement, as though her younger self might be sitting there among her toys. Look up and ask Charlie, "Who are you?" Charlie went in, mm, like the rest of the house. Her bedroom was untouched. The walls were pale pink, and the ceiling, which sloped dramatically on one side, following following the line on of the roof, was painted to match. Her old bed still stood against the wall beneath a large. I know I read too horribly because it's too hard for me to read really fast. Window, the mattress still intact, through the sheets were gone. Though the sheets were gone, the windows was cracked. The window was cracked, slightly open, and rotting lace curtains wavered in the gentle breeze from outside. There was a dark water stain in the paint beneath the window, spreading to the mattress where the weather had gotten in over the years, betraying the house's neglect. Mm, Charlie climbed onto the bed and forced the window shut. With a screech, it obeyed, and Charlie stepped back and turned her attention to the rest of the room, to her father's creations. Okay, so we might have to stop there, and we might have to finish this one, this baby chapter when we come back to the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Check out my other videos that I've done, and as always, I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.